Shazad Sheikh, Motoring Middle East, and I've got for you the Fiat 500X. This is the all-new car from Fiat. It's based on the Jeep Renegade, and this one also has all-wheel drive. This is the Cross Plus model, the top of the range, and you can tell that it's all-wheel drive because it gets all-wheel drive bumpers and protective shield. Underneath here, you get the 2.4 Tiger Shark engine. I love the names that they give these engines. It has 184 brake horsepower. Puts the drive through the four wheels through a 9-speed gearbox. So let's have a look around this car. Let's have a look. So this basically is the styling language of the Fiat 500, but put on top of a Jeep Renegade chassis. So it's kind of cuteness added to usability and competence, and it can go off-road and all that sort of stuff. Quite a decent sized car. It has a lower sloping roof and a sloping back compared to the Renegade. So it drops a little bit of height compared to the Renegade. It's about the same length, same width, but it's a bit lower than the Renegade. Let's have a look at the boot. So again, quite spacious. You've got looks like a full-size alloy wheel in there. Folding rear seats gives you more room. But like I said, I mean, although they say it's got the same space as the Renegade, I think it's slightly less because the Renegade, of course, comes up. It's got more squared off back to it and a bit more height. So it gives you a little bit more room. If cargo is not an issue, then that should be fine. Okay, let's see if I can fit in the back of this. Right, okay, actually not too bad. We've got nice deep pockets here with a cup holder actually in the pocket. So for me, 6 foot 1.5, 6 foot 2, could do with a little bit more leg room. And you've got headrests here which are adjustable, so you can put that up and that helps with the back here. Headroom's a bit limited me. I think that really for children or full-size regular adults this should be fine, although maybe if you're on the larger size it maybe can be slightly a little bit of a squeeze. I think it's time to get into the front. Okay, so here we are in the front of the car. Now let me just turn my phone on as well so I can give you some close-ups as well from inside the car. And it has a starter button where you would normally find the key. So break down, press that, and you can see the dials all light up and stuff comes up. Engine run, look, it's telling you that the engine has started. Now it's nice and clean. It's got the very family Fiat look. Let's turn the fan down a little bit, as I always make that mistake. And it has a 500 logo there, reminding you it's got 2 glove boxes, one there, one there. So quite spacious, quite handy. In addition to that, you've got a pretty remarkably deep cubby hole down here and a USB in there as well. You've got 2 cup holders here and a nice tray down here, and again another USB and an SD card, so very, very handy. Climate control on this car. I should say that there are 2 other models as well, lesser models than this, and there's a popular and a lounge edition. The Popstar, so Popstar edition and a lounge edition. The Popstar starts from 69,900, that's the entry level. Both of those cars actually come with a 1.4 turbo 140 horsepower with a 6-speed automatic and only front wheel drive. So slightly less power, but still quite peppy cars. Worth having a look if you're not too bothered about the off-roading aspect of it. The lounge edition has slightly better equipment, 18 inches wheels instead of 17, that sort of stuff. I won't go through this system because if you're familiar with the Chrysler, Dodge, and in the modern Jeeps they have this as well, then this is actually pretty much the same system. Likewise over here, the controls on the steering, you got your cruise control, you got your trip computer stuff and your phone stuff. Again, if you're a Dodge owner or a Chrysler owner, this will all be pretty familiar to you. It's pretty much the same, right down to the little buttons on the back of the steering wheel which operate the sound and the radio and stuff. No paddle shifts on this car. Like I said, 9-speed automatic. What I will show you is that it's got some funky features here. So again, using my trip buttons over here, it gives you the mood selector. Now the mood selector actually is related to this button down here, which gives you kind of sports mode, which affects the transmission, the engine response, and the steering. The steering weights up a little bit. And then you've got the regular automatic where it can just decide which mode is best for it. And they call it traction, but that's kind of like an off-roady mode, which is that one there. So if you come back to here, now I just wanted to put that into sports because it shows you, look, you've gone into sport, cool. And if I then, this is quite nice, so this is in park, right? So it shows you how much power you're actually using. It gives you a little dial thing. Quite easy to get a little bit hooked to that sort of fun stuff. So it tells you what you're doing. It's got a G meter, it tells you all that sort of stuff. I don't know if you're going to be using the G meter in this, but I'll tell you what, the best way to figure out if we are going to be using a G meter is maybe go for a drive. Let's do that now. Right, so here we are, put into drive. I'm going to go into sports mode just for a bit. Like I said, sports over there. Now to move off, you can either override the brake, the handbrake E button, or you have to press it down to get going. So it says our engine is in performance, all-wheel drive is active, and by the way, because all-wheel drive normally in this car is front-wheel drive, and then it transfers the power to the back as it deems necessary. And of course the steering is now weightier in this mode. Now, I don't have the engine spec for this car because the 2.4 seems to be a little unique to our region, and I wasn't provided with those specs, but this car is a little bit lighter than the Jeep Renegade, so it's about 1346 kilogram, I think. Does about 9.2, 9 something like 9.8, I think, liters per 100. So I'm going to guesstimate. I think 0 to 100, I think it would be about 8.2, 8.3 on this car, and top speed about 200. So that just equates slightly favorably with the Jeep Renegade. So how does it feel, you know, on the move? Well, the ride is a bit a little bit stiff on the smaller bumps, but on these sweeping roads like this, it's actually very, very nice, very, very smooth, very refined, no issues at all. And then you have the steering now, of course, is in sports mode, and you know, good response. What I found with this car is a little bit understeer, so this is a very different driving experience to the little 500. The little 500 is a bit of a sharp, a bit more darty, as you'd expect. This is an all-wheel drive car, so it's a little bit higher up, and you get a little bit more of a roll, and you get a little bit more understeer, as you would expect with an all-wheel drive car anyway. But you know, performance is pretty peppy. You can use the manual shifts if you want, but really you don't need to. I couldn't find any benefit. There you go, spools up, off it goes. Quite reasonable actually. So steering is good, ride is good, gearbox 9-speed. 9-speed, they're getting better and better. Every time I drive a 9-speed, I remember the first time I drove it, and I was unsure of it, let's be honest, because I thought maybe it was trying to do too much. Even now, I mean, I don't think this actually goes into, I mean, it gives me an indicator right there. So D5, I've actually never seen it in D9, although I haven't done any long motorway jaunts in this car. So I don't think it actually goes above 8 speed unless it needs to go into overdrive. But otherwise, the response is so much better now. There's less hunting, there's less confusion. It seems more precise and more eager to get into the right ratio when you need it. So overall, I think this is a really good car. One more thing I should say is visibility actually is really good around this car, and you have this massive sunroof, 2 sunroofs, this one and the one at the back as well. So that can let in a bit of light, and it's quite nice. So you're sitting upright, good visibility out the front, good visibility out the sides, big windows, tall windows here, and generally all around it's pretty good. Nippy little car. This one has a reversing camera as well to make things even easier to park and to maneuver. But you know, and it's a little bit of fun to just throw it around like this. So overall, I'd give it a thumbs up. I think it's a great car for the money. I think it's definitely worth looking at, and it's a fun little small crossover for a small family or a couple, for about town, and maybe the occasional trip to the beach, and maybe a little bit of exploring around in the mountains and stuff like that. For the money, I think it's pretty good. Runs the Renegade very, very close, and that for me would be the slight wrinkle, because I did drive the Renegade, and there's a review on motoringme.com, and I quite like that. So I might be tempted to go more in that direction, but this has got personality. So offers something a little bit different. Full review as ever on motoringme.com. Do check us out there, and also on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, and especially on Facebook, where we put up a lot of stuff. Just search for Motoring Middle East. Also search for Motoring Middle East on YouTube. And if you find us and you watch this video or any of our other videos, then do please subscribe and share them around. Thanks so much for watching. Until the next one.